Whoa.
What is going on, Texas? SAJ coming to you live from the Airbnb Center in Kirkwood, Missouri. How's it going, everybody? To that side is this is the part where you talk, Brian. Apparently, Brian's frozen. Below me is the coach.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Apparently, he got the internet lag.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Dan. So, while Brian's working out his technical difficulties, we want to welcome you to week 4 of our show. This is going to be a very fast-paced episode this week. We are definitely going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff in a very short amount of time. And this is a very wild time going on, not just with the XFL, but also with the NFL. As you know, this is free season or free agent week, and there's been a lot of crazy moves. So let's talk about the XFL in a nutshell. We had some great games, we had some bad games, and we had a few heartbreakers. Tom, did you get a chance to catch any of the games? Oh, it looks like we lost Coach.
I think Coach dropped off.
Okay. It happens. I mean, he's a Cowboys fan, so they're notorious for dropping things.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. Did you get a chance to catch any of the XFL games this weekend?
I caught all of the XFL games this weekend.
And talk to me about the Houston Roughnecks Orlando Guardians game.
How is the Guardians coach still have a job?
That's a great question, man. I really wish I could tell you. I watched that game on the road as we were making the trip up here to St. Louis to catch the St. Louis Arlington game. And I got to tell you, man, I don't think I've seen as one-sided of a game up until this week as let me reword that. I've not seen a more one-sided game up to this point. That game was all Roughnecks all night.
Every bit of it. And
I don't know. Brian from Florida said tomorrow Houston gets the L. That's a bold prediction. But we're going to get to that. Okay. Again, just watching the Roughnecks just rough up Orlando. I mean, it was brutal. And man, I felt kind of bad for him. I really did. Silvers went 24-30, 239 yards, 3 touchdowns. Harris, 21-yard touchdown and a 59-yard touchdown. Their back Lee added a 1-yard touchdown run to seal that game. The best thing that came out of that Orlando game was the 81-yard touchdown pass from Lynch to Rambo. Other than that, man, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So, the other game that I thought was kind of not a horrible game, but definitely not a great game, was the Defenders against Vegas. I was really hoping to see my boy in that game, and he apparently was hurt and was not allowed, or he was not in the game. So they put Perez in. Perez went 23 of 32, 283, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tamu went 14 of 19, 177, no touchdowns. So
Perez didn't look too bad. I missed a couple series in there, so I don't remember if I didn't know if Hundley got hurt or if he got benched.
Hundley was hurt going into that game, so they didn't start him. He was, but at least that's what the reports were. I know he was suited on the sidelines, but he didn't touch the field. He did not get to play. So I have to.
He played the first snap because he got the first snap for Vegas was a fumble. It was a fumbled snap, and then DC got the ball like right there on the 15, 20-yard line.
Okay. Well, then he had to have been benched then because, again, I saw him suited on the sidelines, but he was not going back in that game.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. Again, Huntley's a pretty high caliber quarterback. I would not put him as a starter in the NFL, but he definitely would, make a great backup quarterback in the NFL. And I'm sure, obviously, nobody wants to be a backup. Everybody wants to be the star. So I can understand, him wanting to take this role in the XFL. But XFL is going to be just as competitive as the NFL. Everybody wants to get that start and show what they can do because they want to get back to that next level or get to that next level. So, hang on. Coach is knocking at the door. Coach.
Oh, Coach is on an echo.
Hello.
Hello, Clarice.
Yeah, you got a little bit of an echo going on there.
A little bit of echo? That's not good.
Yes.
Is that better? No?
Sounds a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't have an echo anymore.
Okay.
So, all right, good.
Yeah. We were just talking about the Defenders and Vipers game.
Yes, sir.
Did you get a chance to watch any of the games this weekend?
I watched a little bit of the of the Brahmas game.
Okay, let's talk about that because that to me was just a heartbreaker. Not just because of the fact that we're all Brahmas fans, but just because they cannot seem to put 2 and 2 together and get any kind of positive offensive drives. Coach, out of everybody here, you probably have the most football experience. What's going on with the Brahmas? What is the problem? What is the solution?
I don't know that. Hines Ward knows the game, right? So, it's easy to just get back and get on him a little bit. And I'll be the first one to, I was horrible with former Cowboy coaches and whatnot. I think it's early in the season. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out the quarterback, plays to call. And then at crunch time at the end, you got to really lock down. And you got to make sure you got to go out. You got to have defensive stands where you just stop the ball and you put out your will, and you don't back up and get those things. So if you're putting your will and you're dominating, you're doing your game plan, you should be okay. And they just haven't figured that out yet. But we're 3 games in, 4. So 4 games in. So there's ample time to improve and get ready for this week.
Yes. So I will say the same thing that I've been saying for the past couple of weeks. Ultimately, the problem is that offensive line, right? The center's he's not snapping the ball and getting in a position as quickly as he should. And our guards at the edges are not sealing that pocket to allow Cone the opportunity to get set and throw. Unfortunately, what we're seeing is that Cone is a pocket quarterback. He's not going to be very mobile. He's not going to take a lot of deep drops. He's not good on the scramble. Okay.
And you're right. When you've got a pocket quarterback, you better protect.
Yeah.
Because if you don't protect him and he doesn't have a pocket to throw in, that ball's going to come out quicker than he wants it to come. There's your turnovers, there's your incomplete passes, there's your short series that doesn't allow your defense to get rest and to strategize for the next time they come out on the field.
Right.
So I've seen a lot of, just him getting pushed out of the pocket and just having to throw it away. Throw it at guys' feet. Coverage was good and the protection was horrible. So he had nowhere to throw it but the ground, and that showed in his in his completion percentage. 20 of 39 is horrible, but if you got nowhere to throw it, throwing it away is better than taking a sack. Which I think he only got sacked. He got sacked 4 times, but he probably should have been sacked, at least twice that if he hadn't thrown it away.
And that's all he's doing. He's dumping. He's throwing the ball away to live, to live for another play and stuff like that. I just think when your offensive line is struggling, there's a couple of different things you can do, and you can get the ball out quicker, some screen passes, some quick slants and stuff like that. But you've got to impose that. If their corners are going to come up and cram your receivers, now let's throw a screen. Let's do something to get out in space and make those corners back up a little bit, because they have a responsibility on that side of the field to cover and to tackle. So if we can start dumping the ball out, get some short screens. Even when you drop back, running back comes up, he's going to block. He's going to go second level with the backers and just turn around and dump it to them, because now the backers, they're frozen. They're not going to be able to cram, so now you're not blocking. Now what's happening is the offensive line, there's 5 guys. Well, if I send 6, one guy's uncovered, right? Well, that 6 guy is going to be a backer. If you can get those backers to stop and just think and worry about a situation, now you're back on 5-on-5, and you can block, you can do some things that'll free up the offense.
So, we saw that a few times early in the game. They were doing that, quick wide receiver screens, just quick out. And I was like, this is exactly what we need to do. And just like play action and just like everything else, it just kind of went to the wayside, And that's coaching to me, that's the coaches not calling the plays that are working, which, is probably why this week we have a new offensive coordinator. So.
Yep.
Yeah, because if the other one doesn't get it, get somebody in there that does.
So the thing that bothers me about that is, why did we wait so long to make that change? But that's a question that Hines Ward has to answer.
Yeah,
that's not something that we can speculate about. But the last drive of the series, when the Brahmas had the ball, and you guys know that I've been the biggest cheerleader for Cone, because he was incredible, right? Going into his stats in Notre Dame, his play was incredible. And it's not just him, but there was a play early in that drive. The running back was supposed to make a chip block and go out into the flat, for a short pass. I think he may have brushed shoulders with the guy, but didn't even stop the linebacker coming in to put pressure on Cone. That's part of the problem. Yeah. The other one was that little designed out route where the back comes up, scoots to the right for a quick 5-yard. Cone gets the ball, makes eye contact with the back, throws it to him, and throws it about 4 or 5 feet in front of him. So, a lot of it's starting to come back on Cone as well.
And you're right. There were, especially that final 4th down play that he missed. Mm-hmm. That one was all on Cone. He just missed the throw.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Okay, yeah. So he's not blameless in any of this.
No.
So here's what is Sinnott the fix? We talked about it last week. We put him back there. Is he going to be successful because of the line? Or is it just time to, we need to make a change?
Some of our fans are already calling for it too.
Yeah.
So I think maybe if we plug Sinnott in and let our new OC go to work, I'm still a little concerned about the choice that they made. but something has to change, right? Something's got to give somewhere. So let's give I believe he was the running backs coach.
Yep. Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. It's so weird saying Jimmy Johnson, but let's give Johnson.
I think he'll do a fine job.
Let's give Johnson a chance to see what he can do, right? We still have an opportunity. Let's talk about that opportunity, though. Now, I don't know if you guys got to see it or not, but the St. Louis Arlington game, we came up here specifically for that game.
So how was that experience? Tailgating St. Louis at the Battle Dome, all that stuff.
The St. Louis fans, much credit to them. They are, a ride or die type of fan base. But they are decidedly not Texans, okay? Went to multiple sites. We met up with Dirty from the X-Fans show. Shout out to the X-Fans show and Dirty in Arlington, by the way, and Amanda. Can't forget Amanda. I ran into Dirty and Amanda at the game, and we hung out with them, had a great time, felt a decent amount of hospitality, got booed by about 1,000 or so of their fans because I showed up in my Brahmas gear, of course.
Of course.
Right? Got to represent your team.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. And I heckled the hell out of Arlington. But that's because there were some serious implications in Arlington losing that game. Were they loud? Were they passionate? 100%. As soon as, they had, so their stadium's laid out a little bit differently than ours at the Alamo Dome. We have multiple parking lots outside of the venue in which we can all get together and tailgate and everything like that. Theirs, because it is towards the heart of downtown, they don't have the same parking situation. So they had probably 20 different tailgates going on. And the one that I will say hands down, the one that Dirty and the X-Fans show pulled together encompassed 4 parking lots and was bigger than the one that the Battlehawks put on for the fans, right? Battlehawks had a band and, all this, showmanship, bringing them into the stadium and all this cool stuff and whatever. But the X-Fans show had, this whole live band and a stage and just craziness everywhere. Again, hats off to them for showing up, man. They had every bit of 38,310 fans there. I saw them. They were definitely there.
Oh, it looked impressive. Absolutely. Hats off to them, dude. That was really cool to see.
Right. But no offense to St. Louis now, but I think that's kind of where it stopped, because as loud as they were, I think our 24,000 were louder. Okay. Granted, I know I was part of the loudness there. Brian, you were part of the loudness as well.
Yep.
We were doing our part for home field advantage. But I know I jumped up several times. We were on the opponent's side down towards the St. Louis end zone, right about the 20-yard line. And I jumped up several times on third down and had to, help get the crowd hyped, because they were just like, yay, that passion, that energy.
It's almost baseball season in St. Louis.
Huh?
It's almost baseball season to St. Louis. They're getting ready.
You're not necessarily wrong. I think that there's
that's the Cardinals town. They lost the Rams for a reason, right?
Well, that's a whole different show that we could have. I found out who Kroenke was. Trust me, and there is deep-seated hatred for that man.
Oh, yeah.
So to this day,
speaking of, you could hear definitely the Kroenke sucks chants during the game. Even yes. I think I saw it actually on the X-Fans show, their Facebook page, some of the pictures from around. The one guy holding the sign that Kroenke eats corn the long way.
Oh, I met that guy.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I saw that and I was laughing.
Yeah. So, again, much love and respect to my St. Louis friends up here. I really think our 24 was louder, more passionate. And at the end of the game, check this out. Check this out.
I was about to say that. Yep.
Right there. And that is 100% true statement. I mean, I was there. I saw it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears. Our 24,000 were louder, more passionate, and stayed into that game till the very bitter end. Until the bitter end. Unlike the St. Louis fans, who, when they knew that they had pretty much had it sealed up, people were walking out the door, and people weren't cheering as loud, and people weren't engaged as much. The whole section that we were in, they asked us to come back. 3 different groups of people asked us to come back because of how much we were heckling Arlington. And but that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, it's football, man. You were supposed to give them the business.
Yeah.
And like,
why we sit on the visitor side, you know?
Yeah. They'll show up for the games, but they don't show out like we do here in Texas, man. I'm telling you. So it was an incredible game, though. McCarron absolutely had an incredible game. He threw 20-27, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I was really surprised that he threw that 1 interception that he did, because it clearly, I mean, it was just a bad read from him to the receiver. I don't know where the disconnect was, if it was the receiver.
They went back and showed it. He had bad footwork on that throw.
Okay.
I mean, it just sailed on him. I mean, that he didn't plant his back foot, and it just went right to the receiver.
It was rough.
To the defender.
Well, the defender was reading that one too. I mean, I saw him, hesitate, poise, and make that launch and get it. And it was like, oh, damn. that was perfect textbook interception.
Oh, yeah.
Slaughter, I had so much fun yelling at him. But he went 23-29, 205 yards, threw 3 picks. And I loved every bit of it, man. So, Jorge, right here, Arlington's kicker is going to have nightmares for the next 3 weeks. I definitely want to talk about that. So, they were actually warming up. Him and the long snapper were warming up on our side, like right in front of us. And man, no offense to him and his family. I mean, this is football after all, but I gave him the business. And so when he comes back to San Antonio,
he's gonna look up at us, be like, "I know you."
Yep.
What are you
100%,
doing here?
100%. He's going to be like, "Oh, dude, not these people." So yeah, 100%.
And then we're gonna go to Arlington the following week. So
yeah. So thanks to the Mariachi of San Antonio, the official mascot of the San Antonio Brahmas, your team and mine, we are going to be making a road trip to Arlington. Not only are we going to show up, we are going to show out. So Arlington, be prepared. 3 losses in a row.
That's right.
That is going to solidify our spot in the playoffs, and I think it's going to solidify our team and give us an opportunity to set the ship right. So here's Coach again, much like the Cowboys.
Sorry, guys. I will tell you, the phone's blowing up. My 14-year-old son has got a recruiting coach. He had a great camp over the weekend, got an invite to a big football camp called Top Gun in Florida, and that was my wife calling me about it. I'm sorry for that.
Okay. So, Arlington.
We need your priorities here, Coach, all right? Tell your wife she needs to we got a show going on.
Yeah, what's more important, your nationally publicized show or, your 14-year-old son who's like twice as big as you and twice as strong and probably twice as good looking.
Better looking.
So
got Hardin Simmons already contacted him. It's kind of scary.
Yep. So Jorge, right here, the Renegades going to get booed in their own stadium. Yes, they are. That's going to be sad when our little posse from San Antonio shows up and puts in as many numbers in their seats, if not more, than their own fan base. And I'm counting on San Antonio to show up for that game.
Oh, we're going to be louder too.
we want that whole stadium to feel like a home game in San Antonio.
Yep.
So if you're out there watching, you don't have your tickets yet, get a hold of the Mariachi of San Antonio. Make sure you get your tickets. Come on up with us. I think I might have 1 or 2 seats available in my truck. You need to roll with us, man. Let's show up. So, but watching that game in St. Louis here in what they call the Battle Dome, I like to refer to it as the KFC Dome because it's for the Battle Chickens. It was an experience, not going to lie. And I'm glad I made the trip. And it'll, I'm going to recollect on that for the 14-hour drive I got to make back to get back to San Antonio. But it was 100% worth it just to see Arlington take that L and have to deal with it, man. Because I'm telling you, they came out, they were cocky, they were arrogant. They're going against a very scrappy St. Louis team. And I really think that it's going to be something that we need to build upon and we really need to take advantage of. So let's break it down for next week so we can get into the NFL talk because there's a lot of NFL talk. Houston is playing Seattle. What are your thoughts on that one?
It's hard to see Seattle winning that. Right now, Houston and DC look like the 2 best teams.
Yep.
Anything can happen, but right now I'm going Houston.
Okay, Coach.
I'm gonna go Seattle on that one. I like the upset.
Yep, I gotta say, Seattle is a lot better than what their record is saying at 2-2. Man, I really do think that game we could potentially see a very big upset. I think it's going to be close, but I think we're going to see a very big upset. So Brian is saying Houston 2 L's in a row, Arlington 2 L's in a row, and we're going to get our 3 wins. I hope so. Okay. What about DC at St. Louis? Or I don't know if that's DC at St. Louis, but the DC St. Louis game.
It's at St. Louis. It's a rematch of the scrappy, fight game they had a couple weeks ago in DC.
Okay. What are we thinking here?
I think I'm going to take the Battle Chickens in this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'll take the Battle Chickens too.
I'm thinking Coach is picking the Battle Chickens also.
I'm taking the Battle Chickens.
Okay. I'm gonna break rank. I'm gonna pick DC in this one, and here's the reason why. DC knows how to put a team down and keep them down. Okay, we've seen that multiple times. We saw they did it to St. Louis once already in DC. I'm pretty sure they're going to go in with the same game plan, and they're going to attack those receivers, and they're not going to give McCarron the time that he needs to make those clean passes. And I think they're going to own him. We'll see what happens, but I really think that DC's got that game. Okay, so we've got Orlando and Vegas. This one is going to be interesting because they're both 0-4 teams, and somebody's got to win. I think we know who's going to win that one.
You know what? You got to go Vegas. I mean, Orlando is just such a terrible team. I don't know about the team is terrible, but they're such a poorly coached team. And
I don't know that I necessarily say it's a poorly coached team. They just have not figured out the recipe for success. They have not figured out team chemistry.
You see a lot of the mistakes that happen in game. It's a lot of coaching mistakes, So
yeah,
I think their coach is lost, and I don't think he should have had a job this week. So
yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. Orlando is a dumpster fire.
Yep.
Yeah, I honestly think. I mean, that one's a given. That one's going to be Vegas. I'd like to see Huntley get a chance to get back in there and prove himself. But if he continues playing crappy, then it's Perez. Now, I'm personally biased. Obviously, I like Huntley as a player. I've seen Perez play when he played in the AAF, and he's good, not great. I think Huntley has a better chance of being a great quarterback, but he's got to figure it out. You know, if he really wants that starting spot, he really needs to sharpen his game and really work on that point of attack. Like his passes need to be clean. They need to be right in the receiver's hands, and he needs to not leave it to chance. He needs to stop being such a gunslinger and settle down a little bit in that pocket and get that ball out. So now we're going to talk about what arguably, hopefully will be the best game of the week. But San Antonio and Arlington. Oh, look, here's our friend Amanda from the X-Fans show. Sorry, Amanda, we were bagging on the Battle Chickens a little bit, but nothing but love for St. Louis. But let's talk about this Arlington game. This has serious playoff implications. Brian, you want to talk us through this game?
Well, for one, I'm glad they changed the time from 9 o'clock our time to now 8 o'clock. So that is good. Hopefully, it gets a little bit better crowd than what we were anticipating for the 9 o'clock start. I'm expecting the Brahmas to come back. We've seen some kinks in the Renegades armor the last couple of weeks. And I think that definitely we can exploit it. Mostly defense. We've got a really good secondary, and they showed it. I mean, they, for the most part last week, they kept all the receivers for the Sea Dragons in check, except for one drive. But, I think they're going to be able to do that again.
Yep. So, Coach, you've heard a bunch of the struggles. You know what our team is up against. You've also seen the weaknesses in Arlington's team. What's the battle, or what's the game plan here? How do we come out of that game?
The game plan is a nickel and dime them to death and play on, and if you don't know, hook them. Any team coached by Bob Stoops, okay, is a cocky, underperforming team who can get a lead, but lose interest and lose that lead. So even if the Brahmas are down, they got to keep after it. Arlington will let them back in the football game. And if that's the case, we can pull it off.
Truth. So how do we wind up with an Okie in Arlington anyways?
I don't know. I don't know.
Isn't that in the Texas Constitution or something?
Well, I mean, he probably wants to get Landry back to quarterback for him, or go find Baker Mayfield from the Bucks, or whatever he has to do, and but
okay.
Yeah, no, I like the Brahmas. I didn't get a chance a second ago. I like Vegas, and I like the fact that in that game the beer sales are going to be very high, so the home team is going to come out with quite the haul.
Truth. I mean, the beer sales will be pretty high. Do you think that they have the chance to potentially rival the Beer Snake in DC?
No way.
No, I'm not. I'm thinking no. But then again,
Don't sleep on the Beer Snake. Yeah.
Yeah. It is Vegas. So you never know, right? But so those are our picks for this week. Now, let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's go to the NFL free agency.
Oh, it's the crazy season.
Yes. And before anybody says it, I hope Aaron's bags are already packed and he's halfway to New York.
They are. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
They're
shipping to New York.
Green Bay is trying to figure out a way to save the money that they're going to have to eat in dead cap space when he goes to the Jets. So that's going to be the sticking point. They're set. Jason and I talked about this earlier. Love's contract actually kicks in this year, so they've got $20 million on the books with Love, right? Okay. Well, dead cap money for the Packers when Rodgers pulls a Favre and goes to the Jets, is going to be 40. So essentially, Love is going to be a $60 million quarterback with no wide receivers.
That's not true.
Well, no, because apparently Aaron wants to take them with him.
So Aaron was mad because Green Bay wouldn't get him any wide receivers, but he wants all the receivers that he had to go to the Jets with him.
That's a great point.
He got one. Lazard is already over there.
He got Lazard. He wants Cobb.
Yep. And so here's what I find amusing about that. Tom and I were talking about this earlier today.
Hold on, I'm gonna hello, Brian.
Hello.
Brian, it's good to know you. I'm hoping the Dallas Cowboys get Dick of the kicker. I'm just saying. We have a spot.
Here's my friend Amanda bagging.
Oh, hey, yep, Green Bay. Down with that.
That's all right. I'll take it. They have not lived up to their legacy lately. So it is what it is. But
all right.
So Aaron Rodgers, following in the footsteps of Brett Favre, he's going to go 1 year.
Favre.
Yep. He's going 1 year.
Boys, the recruiters. I'll be back on in just a second.
So you guys have heard it here. I said it last week. I think I said it the week before. My prediction: Aaron Rodgers goes to New York for 1 year. Probably will send some unsolicited special pictures, if you will, to a reporter in New York, just like Brett Favre did, and then he's going to wind up in San Fran for the last 2 years of his career. Will he make a difference like Favre did in Minnesota? Only time will tell, right? It's going to depend on the receivers that they have and the offensive line that they have. But that's my prediction. I honestly think that that's how Aaron Rodgers' career is going to end. San Fran.
So you think that with the big chip on his shoulder that he has for San Fran for not drafting him, that he would go to them to end his career? I was talking to another friend of mine who is also a Green Bay fan, and I kind of mentioned your theory, and they were like, "There's no way. There's no way," because of the bitterness from not being drafted by them. Like, he wanted to play for them, but
I think that bitterness goes out the window if they give him the best chance for a Super Bowl ring. And it would give him that chance to finish his career off in San Fran like he wanted to do originally. And B, it gives him a chance to shove the Packers organization's face in it. So it's a twofold attack. I really think that that's what is going to wind up happening. So Amanda says that Aaron Rodgers should wind up going back in his cave, and I don't know that I disagree with her.
Go
Amanda,
with the magic mushrooms and just hang out there.
Yep, you are wise beyond your years, Amanda. But so that's like the hot topic, and I can't wait until the Packers finally pull that trigger and get rid of him. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the other stuff. What's going on in the DFW Metroplex, Brian? What kind of moves are we making there?
Well, big news today was obviously the likely release of Zeke, which is not all that surprising. Just considering what he makes and what his output has been. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. I wish they could have come to some kind of agreement for him to restructure his deal, because I think Zeke and Pollard working together is a great tandem running back. And I don't think either one will be as successful without the other. Zeke, it's just, I liken it to the how the old Cowboys had with Marion Barber and Julius Jones back in the day, the early 2000s. It was, you had the one for the speed and you had the one for the power. And once they kind of split up, neither one was the same.
Well, so interesting. Jeff Kerr tweeted from CBS. He tweeted Elliott's numbers. Elliott went from 108.7 yards average in 2016 down to 58.4 and 22. That's a horrible drop off in production. And every year was more and more and more of a drop off. Now, some of it could be attributed to, your offensive woes that you've had, maybe calling less running plays, things like that, or just not utilizing him as well. But a lot of it has to do, I think, with the skill set that he just was not. He was losing athleticism, production.
He wasn't the home run hitter that he was to start his career. So that's what they needed Pollard to be. But Zeke was still good for the short yardage, the goal line runs. That kind of became his bread and butter for this season.
I can 100% see that.
He became kind of the menacing, kind of pound you running back.
Yep.
So
what other moves do you see on the horizon for Dallas? What do you think? Who do you think that they're going to try and make a play for? Who do you think that they've got their eyes on in the free agency market here? Who do you think they should go for to help with the issues that they've got going on?
Well, who are the quarterbacks that are still available? Because Carr went to the Saints and Jimmy G went to the Raiders. So, but no, we've talked about how I feel about Dak. But he restructured his deal to kind of make a little more cap friendly. I think they restructured about 3 or 4 contracts to help save some room. We picked up, Stephon Gilmore yesterday. That was a good pickup. He's getting up there in age, but he's not going to be the number one cornerback, So I think he'll do a real good job guarding wide receiver 2.
Here's a suggestion for you.
Hard pass. There's a lot of quarterbacks I would take over Dak. Cousins ain't one of them.
Yeah, the problem is they love the Cousins too much in Minnesota. Let him go.
I don't like that.
So, yeah, Jackson's essentially available. What'd you think about Jackson in the 1-star uniform?
No. I don't think so.
Let's see if I can find you a quarterback. Derek Carr obviously went. Daniel Jones.
No, he just signed up a multi-year deal with Giants last week.
Ooh. What about old Geno Smith?
Nah. Didn't he? Well, he re-upped with Seattle again. I think he did like a 2-year deal or something like that, if I remember.
He might have. I haven't seen any news from him, and I just leave it that way. Jimmy G actually would have not been a bad fit for you guys.
I would not have hated Jimmy G. I wouldn't have hated Jimmy G, and I wouldn't have hated Carr. I think both of them, when they have some help with their offensive weapons, can be very productive. And I think they are better passers than what Dak is. We've seen Dak likes to sail the ball a little bit. So
yep. Honestly, man, I think for the Cowboys, your best bet is to either start using trade capital to get somebody to plug in right now, or just bite the bullet, go after somebody in the draft and see where we're at.
I think that's what I would probably like to see, because, like it or not, we're stuck with Dak for at least 2-3 more years. So I think we find somebody in the second, third round, something like that, and bring him up, see what he can do.
Yeah. So Amanda asked a good question. Who do we think the starting QB is for 49ers? And I got to say, I mean, it's most likely going to be Brock Purdy. I mean, he's unconventional. He's definitely rough. But he got the job done, and he got the job done.
How do you not give him that job based on how he performed at the end of the year? You know,
yeah.
I mean, I think he earned it. I mean, bottom line, you know, every problem that he was given, every task, he successfully, you know, made it through that until he got hurt.
Yep.
So I think Purdy absolutely deserves to be the starting quarterback for the 49ers next year.
Yep. So there's also talk about if he gets demoted, I mean, that's good quarterback talent cheap. And that is true, right? Purdy, I mean, again, we talked about how he, you know, needs a little bit of work, thrown into a bad situation and rose to the top. But man, if he hits the free agent market, man,
there's be a high demand for him.
Yeah. He could really, this could be a make or break opportunity for him. Let me put it that way.
Absolutely.
So Amanda mentioned elbow surgery here. If I can't bring up her comment, there we go. And I'm not sure who she's. I guess maybe Purdy went under.
Purdy, yeah, he got hurt.
Underwent some elbow surgery.
Yeah, because he got hurt in the championship game.
Okay, that could potentially affect his start. I'd have to look and see just how bad the injury was and how long he's sidelined for. I don't think. I mean, it's probably a situation where he's probably going to wind up sitting out most, if not all, of the preseason. All the quarterbacks essentially do now, and then we see horrible week ones. But chances are he's probably going to be good to go. I would like to see what happens with their draft pick Trey Lance. You know, he went down with that season-ending ankle injury, and haven't heard anything from him since. I mean, this is a cat who was projected to do a lot of good things. So it'd be interesting to see where he is with all that. Maybe he might become available. Maybe he might be a good fit for the Cowboys. It's hard to tell because there's just not enough information about him.
Yeah.
But there was one free agent that I am chomping at the bit about. Okay. And here's something that blew me away. Juju's going to New England.
Yep.
That was amazing. I did not expect that at all. So, but Eagles have let Darius Slay walk.
Yes.
Okay. Now I know you Cowboys fans that are out there, none of you, you probably want that guy. I want him in Green Bay.
Everybody wants him.
He would absolutely kill it. So find a way, make it happen. Hell, send Rodgers over to the Eagles. I don't care. Like, get us some good defense, right? Do a 1-for-1 swap, whatever you want to do. You know, maybe send a sixer of old Milwaukee with him. I don't care. Get it done. And, you know, bring some serious defense back into our game. But I would love to see what's going to happen with Slay and where he's going to go, because he's going to command a high salary, high price tag, but he's 100% worth it.
Absolutely.
So, so what else do you think? Again, I mean, this is not, you know, just a Cowboy show. We try and talk about all things football here. But what can we do to help our friends in Houston with their almost NFL team? Where do we start?
You mean the Roughnecks? I mean, I think the Roughnecks are the closest thing to an NFL team in Houston.
No. I'm talking about the minor league team.
Okay. Okay. I mean, front office needs to go. You know, coach needs to go. Well, this is a new coach, but, you know, he's probably going to go next year. You know,
yeah. Let's give them a chance to go now.
They like their one and done coaches in Houston. I think they've had like 3 in a row now? Is that what it is, or is it just 2 now? Maybe I'm projecting to next year.
Well, whatever it is, it's bad. They definitely have not had a consistent, solid coaching staff in a long time, right? Yep. They let a lot of their great players go for horrible trades. Brandon Cooks, I know the whole quarterback controversy and everything, but he was a good quarterback. You know, like they had potential they had potential with him on the field. Off the field, maybe not so much, right? But just some absolute crazy stuff going on in Houston. I'm going to be honest, man. I would be surprised if they're able to keep a team, right? I don't know where they would relocate to, but it seems like you have more fans that are Roughnecks fans, or potentially even USFL is coming in another couple of weeks, right? The Houston Gamblers. You probably have more fans among those two teams than you do actual Houston Texans fans, and it's sad to say, but it is what it is. So,
but you know what? If they, they keep around dumpster fires like the Lions have been forever, and the Browns and all that. I don't think Houston's going to go anywhere.
Well, the only way that happens is if the NFL keeps floating them and keeping them alive, because their fan base, sure. I mean, I know we live in South Central Texas, and it's hard to say how many, actual Texans fans are over in Houston, because nobody wants to go to Houston. But I don't see that solid of a fan base like I do with the Cowboys. As much as I bash the Cowboys and everything, the Cowboys faithful, what is it, 23 years now, 24 years?
Hold on, I got to do some deep math here. 27?
27?
Yeah. Hey, this is our year, all right? This is our year.
Every year it's your year.
Every year it's our year.
Every year it's not your year. And then you turn right around the next year, it's your year again.
Yep, it's our year. All right.
You don't see that kind of loyalty from the Texans fans. You don't see that kind of loyalty from a lot of the NFL fans around the league. About the only ones that are that diehard. And I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'd almost say they're not even on the same level. Would be Packers fans and maybe Bears fans, because the Bears have been horrible and they're still selling tickets.
Yep.
They just haven't been horrible for 27 years, right?
Well, actually, I think they've been horrible for longer.
Technically, they have been horrible for longer, but they've shown promise. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Amanda says maybe Vikings fans, and she's right. I mean, that trophy case is empty.
Yep.
About the only thing in it is dust. It sure ain't no trophies.
Mm-hmm.
But you know why that trophy never winds up in Minnesota? Because nothing with the name Lambeau on it will ever be in Minnesota. Okay. So Warren asked a great question, kind of off topic, but do you feel the college quarterback talent is worth the Panthers trading their drafts for the next few years? What are your thoughts on that, Brian?
I do not know enough about the college quarterback prospects to have an opinion on that. From what I've watched for some of them this season, probably not. Not for the next couple of years. I don't think I haven't seen anybody who's impressed me enough to warrant trading draft picks for the next couple of years.
So in the top 10 of this year's draft class, you've got Bryce Young out of Alabama. You've got CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. You've got Will Levis out of Kentucky and Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Okay. If I were Carolina, I think I might risk it on Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a young athletic quarterback. He's done a lot of great stuff. Let me see if I can pull up his college record so we can talk about it. It does not. Oh, here's game log. Here we go. He's pretty solid on his stats, man. He did not do well against LSU this year, only garnering a 49% completion rate. But everything else, the second lowest was 53.8. Everything else is high 60s, low 70s. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a quarterback. So yeah, if I were Carolina, I would take a chance on it. But
I just think he's another undersized, Kyler Murray,
I mean, you're not wrong, but I mean, Kyler Murray was able to get it done. What I'd be more concerned
Has he
with,
though? I mean, he had a good first year, but what's he done since then?
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But look at the team he's on. They don't really have a lot of stuff around him. And that's what I was going to talk about with Carolina. Do they have the receivers to help out a shorter quarterback? Do they have the offensive line to keep this quarterback safe? Do they have the things around him that he needs to be successful? Or is he going to be scrambling for his life every single play? So if it were me, I'm looking at CJ Stroud, a little bit taller, little bit more of a risk as far as a quarterback. He got absolutely destroyed against Northwestern, 38.5% completion rate. Rutgers, 59.1. Otherwise, it's mid 60%. But he's got one game against Michigan State. Again, it's Michigan State. But he absolutely lit him up for 80.8% completion rate, which is just phenomenal for a quarterback, right? I think I would probably take a move more for Stroud. I don't think I'd necessarily give up a whole bunch of draft capital to go for Bryce Young, because everybody's going to want to see what Bryce Young can do. And you've got a lot of teams chomping at the bit to get a Bryce Young. I think I'd be more intent on like a Stroud or this Levis kid. I don't know much about him from Kentucky. I do remember Richardson's name being mentioned. He's 6'4", 232. Warren right here just said Stroud killed at the combine, and I really think you'd be better taking that gamble on the second or third ranked quarterback than the first one. Not saying that Young isn't going to do great things, but again, I mean that's a big risk. 6'0", 194. How many hits is he going to be able to take? We're talking the next level. He's probably not going to do well in the NFL. Well, I can't say that. The indications look like he's probably not going to do so well in the NFL. Like you need a bigger boy. Like Richardson here from Florida, 6'4", 232.
Yeah.
His numbers are not great. He's got some really bad games. But he's got, for the most part, everything is above a 55%. If you average it all out, it's above a 55% completion rate, maybe 60, getting close to. So I would probably take a chance more on this Richardson kid and work on trying to build up the receivers and stuff around him while keeping him, maybe a year or two off the field with a quarterback's coach working on that accuracy. And definitely looks like he's a pretty mobile quarterback. We've got one game he scrambled 9 different times for 109 yards. I mean, so you're getting a quarterback that can move. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it, Warren. That if I were the Panthers, I would probably maybe not trade up to get the first pick, but try and trade up to get a little bit closer to first, not give up as much draft capital, and try and get like this Richardson guy and then build around him.
Well, I missed it when I first asked. They did trade up already. Like they traded, I think it was late last week, mid last week. They traded up for the first pick. So they've already done it.
Really?
Just who are they pick? Yeah, who are they picking? That's the.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the draft order right now, and man, that's not looking good. So this website does not want to display, so I'm going to go to a different one. Yeah, Carolina got first draft pick from Chicago.
Yeah.
And okay, what do you know? Houston has the second draft pick.
Yep.
Just because they're that bad. Well,
once again, like we talked about before, Houston is so bad that they went for 2 to win a game that would have guaranteed them the number 1 pick.
Yep. But Houston was also kind of smart here. They traded for the number 12 pick from Cleveland. So Houston has 2 first-round picks, which could potentially be. I mean, we're talking about number 2 and number 12. That could be a QB wide receiver combo, which could make a difference.
It could if I trusted their front office to make the right decisions.
Yeah, they'll probably pick a water boy and an athletic trainer or something.
Yeah, no, they'll take a kicker the first round.
Yes. Well, no, they could have Dicker the kicker. No, they can't. They can't have Dicker the kicker.
They'll trade their number 1 pick for him.
That sounds like something they would do 100%. So Warren right here said that Houston was mentioned looking at Stroud. So that could potentially be an option right there. Stroud at number 2, and you've got some pretty decent wide receivers. Quentin Johnson out of TCU is ranked number 10th in the draft. You've got Jordan Addison out of USC, ranked number 17th. So you could, in fact, see Houston go for a QB wide receiver combo. And that could be kind of what they're looking at. So check this out. Carolina moved ahead of Houston just to get Stroud. And that's okay. Again, like we talked about, maybe Carolina makes a mistake and picks Young. Maybe not. Who knows? But it will be interesting to see how these teams battle it out here in the next couple of weeks with the free agency moves and everything, and then start making trades for the NFL draft and then kind of going into preseason. Because here's another thing to think about, right? We've got the NFL draft coming up, but you're going to have a bunch of quarterbacks that are going to be eligible from the XFL and potentially the USFL, right? So some of those guys sharpen their skills and can get back in the game. That could be a game changer also. Maybe Carolina does pick Stroud and Houston turns around and gets Perez or what's his name from McCarron. There you go. Maybe Houston picks up McCarron and plugs him back into the game. So just some things to think about. So definitely we're in the thick of all the fun XFL, USFL, and all the implications that it has towards the NFL season this year. So that being said, Brian, we know you're a Cowboys fan. We know you're used to accepting defeat, right? You guys are the best at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. We absolutely love that.
Absolutely. Hey, we do that better than anybody else. All right. Cowboys number 1.
You do. What do you think is going to happen to Prescott?
He's gonna be here. You know,
3 more years.
Probably at least 2 or 3. You know, we're stuck.
That's all right.
So,
that's all right. Green Bay starting the new Love era.
He is effective when the game plan works for him. You know,
he's effective when the game is not on the line.
Yep, absolutely. And
so,
unfortunately, you know, when you come into the playoffs and you know, deep in the season, games are always on the line. So, you know, he's good. He's good for those. He's really good for those week 2, week 3 comebacks versus, you know, Pittsburgh or something like that. But, you know, you give him a comeback in the playoffs and he just doesn't know what to do.
Yep. So real quick, we'll jump into Warren's question and then we'll go over our XFL picks again. And then we'll shut it down at that point. Because I actually have a completely unrelated sporting event to go to. I'm going to be going and watching a professional hockey game, which I've never seen before.
Nice.
It's going to be the weirdest thing. I don't understand that game at all. Why even play on ice? But Warren said, how do you guys feel about the USFL schedule overlapping the XFL schedule, the last 3 games, plus all the XFL playoffs? Brian, thoughts?
You know, we've seen the USFL trying to compete and separate itself from the XFL. You know, the whole, even during the Super Bowl commercials, you know, how many times do we see during the Super Bowl, hey, there's no football for 2 months, you know, and talking about the USFL starting. So even when like the week after the XFL was starting. So I think they're trying to compete against the XFL on purpose. You know, right now, I think the XFL is a better product than the USFL. So I think their gamble might not work out too good for them.
So here are my thoughts on it. Here's my take on it. I'm actually glad that the schedules are going to overlap because I think it's going to give the XFL an opportunity to showcase a better product, like you said, but something that's also more fan-friendly and more fan-engaging. The XFL has all the training and everything in a host city, which is Arlington, but all the games are played in the home markets.
Yeah.
The USFL still is doing hubs, and I think there are now 3 hubs for 8 cities. Okay, kind of cool, but what about that 4th hub, if you will? Like, why aren't the teams already back in their home markets? I think what's going to happen, and I honestly don't understand how the USFL is even staying afloat, right? People in Houston are supporting the Roughnecks, or not the Roughnecks, the Gamblers, and that's cute and everything.
They did last year,
yeah.
You know, but will they do it when they now have the Roughnecks?
You know? I honestly do not see how it's going to be possible for Houston to support 3 different professional football teams.
Professional is quite a stretch, especially for, you know, especially for the Texans. So
right. So professional-ish.
Okay,
we'll
there
call
we
it
go.
that.
We'll accept that. We will accept professional-ish.
Right. But I honestly think what's going to happen is that ultimately at the end of the day, that people are going to have both products in front of them, and they are going to see that the USFL may have some great players, but it's not a very fan-friendly market. It's not very fan-engaging, and it is just not going to stand up against the XFL. And that, especially when we get into the playoff scenario and you start seeing, you know, DC and St. Louis battling it out, San Antonio and Houston battling it out, that level of play I really honestly think is what's going to separate us from the USFL. And when we have that championship game, all eyes are going to be on us and not on the USFL. Not that I want to see the USFL fail in any way, shape, or form, but I really think that they did their fans a disservice by doing the hub setup and not really engaging with the fans. So I think the numbers are going to show it. I know, there's some concern right now with the numbers dropping off with the XFL and everything like that. But St. Louis showed it. 38,000 people at the game. We showed it. 24,000 at our game. The other ones are averaging, 12, 13,000, give or take. Eyes are on us. And I really think that, things are going to come out just fine. So let's break it down. DC at St. Louis. Brian, what's your pick?
I picked, hold on, let me go back to it. DC, St. Louis. I picked St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. And I'm breaking tradition with you. Yep. I'm going with DC.
And
I think it's going to be a slugfest.
Coach picked St. Louis too.
Yep, Coach picked St. Louis.
Yep.
So, Guardians and Vipers.
I picked the Vipers.
Pick the Vipers.
I think everyone picked the Vipers.
That's a no-brainer. Sea Dragon. I'm sorry.
Roughnecks and Sea Dragons.
Yeah, Roughnecks and Sea Dragons.
I'm taking Roughnecks on that one.
Okay. And I'm rooting for the upset, and I think Coach agreed with me on that one. I think we're both going for Seattle on that one.
Yep.
And then the final, most important game, Renegades at Brahmas.
Brahmas all the way.
We're all picking Brahmas.
That's right.
I really think St. Louis set us up for a great opportunity to, keep our playoff hopes alive. We're going to be playing a weakened, demoralized Arlington team. And as Coach said, it's Bob Stoops. Nobody cares about Stoops. I don't even know why they've got Noki in Texas coaching a team. So those are our picks. Lock them in.
That's right.
Brian, what else you got for our fans before we sign off tonight?
You know what? I think I'm good. I don't really have too much.
Okay. You think your Cowboys are going to pull off a miracle, get some good picks this season in the free agency market?
You know what? So far we've done pretty good. So I'm excited. What else they're going to do? They re-signed Van Der Esch. Was actually thinking he was going to end up walking, but they were able to work out a deal with him. That's a big retainage. Gilmore was a big pickup. That defense is just looking stronger and stronger. But we all know the defense was not the weak spot for the team last year. So
Truth.
Secondary could have used some help. Gilmore's going to help with that, but still, I'm looking for some help on the offensive side. So, maybe we can work out that deal for Hopkins coming up.
Nice. And as we all know, Green Bay, like every other year, is in a deep fire sale. We get rid of people. We never bring them back in. So, guys, for Texans Talking Football, I am SAJ. And that is Brian. I don't know if he's buffering or I'm buffering or whatever. But I think that's going to be it for our show. Thanks for joining. We'll catch you guys all next week.